Hi there, it's Charmaine Hammond with the Global Influence Summit, and we're here today with Anne Dickinson with Eye on Your Business. And I'll tell you, if you're not following Anne yet, you will want to be after this conversation because Anne works with entrepreneurs, small businesses to help their businesses avoid profit leaks, to be successful and to be profitable. And the conversations that I've been having with Anne are just really, really eye-opening. And I just want to welcome you, Anne, for being here before I start going on talking more about how awesome you are. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure being here.
So, Anne, we were talking before we got on the interview about some of the mistakes that seem small that entrepreneurs make, but when combined, they become very costly and
Yes.
impact. And so I was talking about a number of cases, me included, where I sign up for a platform because it's a good deal.
Right.
It's like only this much. And I sign up and I think I am so going to use that platform. And I was talking to an entrepreneur, pretty seasoned entrepreneur. And so she's got 5 platforms that she signed up for. In her inbox, they're still dark in her Gmail. She hasn't unbolded them. She hasn't clicked on them yet to start them. And I actually didn't find out how much she's spending it on. But even let's just say if each platform was $50, she's got $250 that she's paying for every month on her Visa
Every
card.
month.
So tell us about this because I know
That's $3,000.
What? Say that again.
That's $3,000.
That we just need that silence to linger. That's a lot of money.
That's not chump change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Do you see this a lot, Anne, with entrepreneurs and small businesses where there's that kind of a profit leak?
Oh, absolutely. It's a real common one. And there's the lure of, well, it's only 10 or 15 or $27 a month. It's no big deal. But the example you just gave is perfect because it is a big deal.
$3,000 deal.
$3,000. Say you cut out, maybe you don't cut out all 5 of them. Say you cut out 4 of them.
Yeah.
That's whatever the math is.
Yeah. Because she's not using them. They're
right.
not even. It's not like she uses them sometimes. She hasn't started them.
She hasn't started them, but she's getting billed for them.
Yeah.
And the other piece is, and I will confess to being guilty of it also, is deciding, you know what, I don't need this platform, but I got to get some stuff off of it that's on there.
I've been there.
Right?
Oh, I've been there with a webinar platform.
And it's, okay, I'll get to it. And it takes 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, half a year goes by. Yeah. And you've been being billed.
Right.
$40, $50 a month. It adds up.
It totally does. I remember a few years ago, I was on a different webinar platform and I was doing a really, really big master class. So I needed to, how you bump your room up to have more space. Right. And so I bumped the room up and I think it was like $100 a month or something to go to the bigger room. And so, I went to the bigger room and then this is coming off my Visa. And one day they changed their invoice. So it looked different and I opened it and I'm, oh, what is that? Who ordered that?
Right.
Course,
I bumped it up, but I never bumped it back.
I never bumped it down. Exactly. And I've done that, Anne, and I hear this all the time from entrepreneurs. And, one of the earlier conversations that you and I had, you just raised a genius tip and you said, we need to be in our books. We need to be looking at our money at least a couple of times a month.
Right. Well, at minimum once a month.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if you don't know what's going on sort of a current basis, mm-hmm. how can you make course corrections?
Yeah.
Right? Take advantage of what's going great, but fix what's going wrong, or be able to just question what's going on. I give you a quick example about this, and we were talking about a client of mine in a previous conversation who happens to be an attorney. Well, she and I now meet every month, right? Once a month, kind of accountability. And we look at certain statements.
Mm-hmm.
every month, right? Her financial statements. Well, we were looking at them, and her business has taken off like a rocket ship, which is fantastic. She's an estate attorney, and for the longest time, 90% of her business had been trusts and wills and estates, and trusts and estates.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all of a sudden, one month, 40% of her revenue was probate work. And it's like, where did that come from? And is it good business? And what I heard her say was, I hate probate work. It bugs the heck out of me. And come to find out, it was for two reasons. One was there's specific bookkeeping needed around probate. And there was a bit of a snarl there. There was a piece that needed to be understood better and dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And the second problem was, or annoyance, it was the courts, because they are prone to error. And it's just frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So her initial reaction was, oh, I don't even want to do it. I'll just do probate for my own existing clients. And probate, for those who don't know, is what happens after people die.
Right.
Right. And I said, well, hang on a second here. Is this good, profitable business? Let's say the bookkeeping issue is solved. And oh, by the way, you contract out most of this, and you personally are not really dealing with the courts. So is that really an issue? Well, not really. Well, it's good, profitable business. It's not, and so what the conclusion we came to was, the business isn't going to be turned away if it's coming over the transom, which is what it was. I mean, people were calling her. But she's not going to put any money into marketing it. But she's not going to shovel it off to some other law firm.
Mm-hmm.
That was found out because we look at things every month. And so it was it sort of bubbled up quickly. And it wasn't, oh, we got around to looking at it 4 or 5 months later and saying, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
That's a really great example. Really great example, because I think in business, and I talk to entrepreneurs all the time, and I hear that where, oh, I'm having to do this and it sucks the energy from me, and it's not where I feel like my genius is, and I want to do this instead, and it's paying the bills, and there's that constant wrestle that people have. And I love how you help shift perspectives on the way to look at that. But the other interesting piece in what you're talking about, Anne, is that you're looking at things from a process perspective as well, and a system perspective.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned in a conversation we had a long time ago about that's one of the geniuses you bring to entrepreneurs is helping look at the systems and the processes. So can you give us another example of that? Like, what systems and processes can help entrepreneurs be profitable, use their time in the best way, and be able to work in their genius?
Well, there are three pieces to a business, and anyone who has watched the TV show The Prophet knows
Mm-hmm.
this from Marcus Lemonis, and he's
Mm-hmm.
not wrong. I mean, business is business.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's product, process, and people.
Okay.
And
3 Ps: product, process, and people.
right. And
Okay.
if they're all working well, it adds to the 4th P, which is profit.
Gotcha.
I added that part.
That's a good, like after the equal sign equals
Right.
profit. I like that.
And so now that I've gone off there, I've forgotten what your question was.
So what are some examples of like systems and processes that either you see people missing or that could really help a business, go to the next level, be more profitable?
Sure. Well, it's so process. So one, for instance, is around collecting money, right? that the point is to bring the money in so you can pay your bills and have some left over at the end. And if there's no process around that collection,
Mhm.
you've got a profit leak, because ultimately, the longer it takes a customer or client to pay you, the fact is you're letting them use your money.
Mm.
And so a couple things. One is a lot of businesses will put on their invoice due on receipt.
Mhm.
And I would challenge that and suggest that you put a firm fixed date on there. Think about when you get a credit card bill
Mhm.
in the mail. There's a date on that bill by which it's due. If there's just due on receipt, you can argue, well, when did I receive it?
Did I open my email that day?
Right,
Yeah.
right. But if there's a firm fixed date, you're more likely to put it in line to get paid.
Right.
Right. And
Yep.
so as the recipient of the money, you're more likely to get the money in. And aside from that is, if people are starting to be, not pay, there's got to be a process in place to start knocking on their door,
Right.
virtually speaking or however speaking, to
Mhm.
say, excuse me, but there's an invoice and you owe me money and you agreed to pay it, so let's
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
Because that can be a big profit leak, right?
Yes.
And a formal process is more beneficial than I'll sort of get around to it when I feel like it. Because nobody likes to make collection calls. I mean, it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
But the more formal the process becomes, the easier it becomes, right? Structure sort of makes you free, some people will say.
Mhm.
And it's true.
Well, what intrigues me about that, Anne, too, is that you're, in essence, what you're talking about when you set up a system or a process like that on how bills get paid and how they get invoiced, it's almost like you've set sort of a company policy, for lack of I don't have another word that's coming to my mind, but which means that if you ended up being in a situation where you could hire someone to help, you've got a system and process now that they
Right.
can implement for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the other sort of general concept is the a business of exceptions will never be exceptional. And I don't know who quoted that, but I like it. And it's true,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you run your business as everyone is unique and different and every customer is, needs different attention, it's going to hamstring you all the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that everything needs to be boring and, but process is going to help you a lot.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Is this part of what I know you've got an event coming up in May, actually, May 8th, if I remember, reading glasses on May 8th, is it?
That it is not, actually. It's
What
May
date is
4th. It's May 4th and 5th.
How did I get that? Where did I come up
And then
with
you
May?
doubled the 4.
Okay, there you see, I'm already on numbers. I was
Yeah.
adding with it.
See?
Okay, so let's do that right. May 4th and 5th of this year, May 4th and 5th.
Yes.
Profit Matters. So tell us about this event, because I think it would be super cool to spend 2 days with you learning about how to make your business profitable. And
So I'm super excited about it. It will be in the Boston area, just outside of Boston. So flying to Logan Airport if you're flying in. And we're going to spend 2 days really diving deep into the issues around profit. And so the first day is going to be spent on learning and understanding sort of a fundamental numbers skill set, right? Making sure we all know what are the fundamental financial statements and what do they mean and what can you draw from them, and how do they sort of work? It's a little bit of the language of finance, if you will. And then we're going to get into what really are your costs, and diving deep into really drilling down and saying, what really does it cost? Like if you had a pen, what does it really cost to make this pen? What are all the parts involved? The same with a consultant or a coach. And then we're going to talk about the concept of break even. What is it? How much do you really need to do in business and sales before you start making that really, really cool thing called profit? And what are the different pieces that go to make up that equation? And by the way, just real quick, there's no calculus involved. There's no calculus in any of this. It's all addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If you know those four things, you can run a company.
Yeah.
And then day 2, we're going to take that information and we're going to apply it. And so we're going to spend a bunch of time on looking into finding and fixing profit leaks. Where can you add to the profit in your business? Are there revenue opportunities that aren't being capitalized on? Just really getting to the thought process. How can you think about your business differently? I had a client who he had kind of 2 parts of a business. He installed stuff outside during the summer months, play sets, basketball hoops, trampolines, things like that. And in the winter, he plowed snow. So there are 2 big buckets of money coming in. But there's also 2 really, really fallow periods in the fall and in the spring. And it happened to be in the Northeast because, there's snow. And I said to him one day, well, have you ever thought about installing outdoor ice rinks, backyard ice rinks? And he hadn't. And so he started doing that. And it filled in those 2 periods because you'd install it in the fall, you de-install it in the spring. It's an annuity, right? So how can you bring in more cash and make some more money, but even off your cash issues? So we're gonna talk about things like that, and then also what should you be monitoring on a regular basis and why? And it's gonna be a lot of fun, I hope.
It sounds like it'll be fun. It'll probably eye-opening for sure. But it sounds like it's a game changer event.
I think
so many entrepreneurs,
I think
not everybody thinks about their business in the way that you're like. Even when you held up the pen and say, "How much does it cost to make this pen?" I know lots of people, even myself, when we think about how much did it cost to do a certain launch or a tour,
right?
Short of going, and working it all out, we don't always have all those numbers or haven't thought the true cost through.
Or you haven't categorized them correctly.
Right. So I love that you're going to be doing that with people and then operationalizing it. So learning about it and then actually doing it. I think that is going to be so transformational for the people in the room.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a good time.
May 4th and 5th. And where will people go to find out more, Anne?
You could find out more, excuse me, at the ever lovely www.yourprofitmatters.com.
I love that. That's the name of the event, Your Profit Matters. I mean, that in itself says so much about the value that's going to happen.
Yeah. Because it is about it's about profit and cash flow. It's both of them, but profit is key.
It is. Well, Anne, as always, you are just so great to connect with because you get right to the point and you give us the goods and you are truly committed to helping people. That's evidence that you really want businesses to succeed and not have businesses become that statistic.
Right. 80% fail in the first 5 years.
Oh, I know. That's just so tragic. And it's, these businesses, I meet so many, just like you do, so many amazing entrepreneurs with a big dream, a big vision,
Right.
and they have the ability to make such a important difference in the world. And and then if they're going to be part of that statistic, how is the world impacted? Right?
Right.
So I love that you're doing this work. May 4th and 5th, Your Profit Matters. And the website one more time, Anne?
Is for the website for the business. For the event is yourprofitmatters.com.
Awesome.
Yourprofitmatters.com. My website is eyeonyourbusiness.net.
Beautiful. Thank you. This is Charmaine Hammond with the Global Influence Summit. And thank you again, Anne, for being a sponsor of the Global Influence Summit and for all that you do to help businesses succeed.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to the event coming up in a few days.
Awesome. Thanks, Anne.
Take care.